بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters, today inshallah, as you know, we will be speaking about a very, very important topic, which is the fitna and the fiqh of the fitna. How we deal with fitna and what shall we do in the time of crisis, in the time of tribulations, in the time of trials. What shall we do? How we can deal with the issue? What is the fiqh of the fitna? Before that, brothers and sisters, we need to define what is the fitna. And as normal, if you start with any topic, you need to define what you are going to talk about. So, what is the fitna? The fitna, actually, many people mention the word fitna, but they, unfortunately, they are not able to specify a certain specific meaning to the fitna. What is fitna? Fitna is a situation that puts a Muslim in a position that he might turn away from his deen. So it is a situation that push the Muslim, so he will be in a position that he might leave his deen. Not necessarily he will leave his deen, but he might leave his deen. And we so actually the fitna puts the Muslim iman and deen in on risk, and that's why we call it fitna. And if you go to the linguistic meaning of fitna in Arabic, you will see that the literal translation for it is like a test, trial, tribulation, something like that. And in many books they are translating it like tribulation. It is not really a precise translation, but it might give the meaning. So this is in general the fitna. The fitna, now we understood what is the fitna, but how the fitna occur? How the fitna happens? The fitna can happen because of one of two main reasons. The first reason, and these two reasons, by the way, are the main reasons that might pull away the Muslim out of his religion. Okay? And we said that the fitna puts the Muslim in a position that he might be taken away from his deen. Okay? That might put him in a situation that he are not able to practice his deen in the manner that Allah Azza wa Jal commanded him to do. So that situation might happen to the believer, to the Muslim one. There are two main or two only reasons that might put the Muslim in that position. What are those two reasons or two means that might pull the Muslim away from his deen? The first one is, they said, shahawat, desires, and the second one is what? Doubts, shubuhat, doubts. Okay, so all the problems in the world lie under one of these two reasons. Either it belongs to shahawat or it belongs to shubuhat, to doubts, either doubts or desires. The fitna puts the Muslim in that situation. So either he is facing so much or many desires that desires might pull him away from his deen, or might put him under certain in circumstances that he is not able to distinguish which is right, which is wrong, which is doubts. Then that might pull him away from his deen. Desires. When we say desires, when we say the fitna might be of desires. What are the desires? You know, for example, one of the famous desires that all the you know, it's not working.
It's not working, okay. Abdurazak, switch on it, switch it on. Switch it on.
It was a switch on. Okay. You know, for example, that the desires, one of the famous desires that all of us are aware is the desire of the fitna of what? Of the women. And you know that the people of Bani Israel, as the Prophet ﷺ said, ittaqud dunya, be aware of the dunya. Okay? And be aware of the nisa, of the women. Because the first fitna for Bani Israel, okay, was what? Was a nisa. And because of the nisa, which is desires, which is shahawat, because of that it might take them away from their religion. So this is what desire. For example, this is the fitna of the nisa. There is another fitna, famous fitna, is the wealth. Wealth, being a rich man or a rich woman, that itself is a fitna. And we should not only limit our thinking that the fitna is something, hardship that the Muslim goes through, but no. As Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً. طيب, كل نفس ذائقة الموت وإلينا ترجعون ونبلوكم بالشر ونبلوكم بالخير والشر فتنة وإلينا ترجعون. And we test you by the good and the bad, by the good deeds or the evil deeds, just for a tribulation or a trial or a test for you. So the good might be a test and the bad also might be a test. So the wealth itself might be a test, a big test for us. And you know that Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned in Surah Al-Hashr and mentioned in other surah that the wealth and having many children, that might be a fitna, that might pull you away from your religion. So this is the first type of fitna, which is belongs to what? Desires. Now the second type of the fitna that we are talking about here is what? Is the doubts, the shubuhat. When we say shubuhat, what does that mean? What do we mean about the fitna of shubuhat, of doubts? It can be one of two main reasons or one of two main categories. The first category is when the Muslim is not able to distinguish what is the correct opinion in a certain matter. He doesn't know what the Sharia position towards that matter. And the second type is when he is unable to distinguish which practice the Sharia command him to do. And this is two different situations. The first situation is when he doesn't know what is the Sharia position towards that issue. I'll give you just a quick simple example. You know, for example, there are many points in Sharia where we have different opinions. And for example, the Hanafi says this, and the other scholar says this, the Shafi'i says this. For example, the issue of giving the zakah of the gold. You know that Hanafi says no, we have to give the zakah, and the other scholar said that no, if the woman wear that gold and uses that gold, it's not compulsory to give the zakah. Now the Muslim might be in a situation that he doesn't know which opinion is the most correct or the most stronger opinion, so he doesn't know, or he is unable to distinguish which opinion he should follow. that might not be a fitna, because that might not pull him away from his deen. But take, for example, other situations, like, for example, whether the one who does not pray is not Muslim or he is Muslim. The one who doesn't pray, is he kafir, totally kafir, or not? This is, he doesn't know, because he didn't search that issue in details, and so he doesn't know what is the strongest opinion. This is one thing, and that situation is the Muslim, what he will do, or what he shall do in that situation. Easily he can ask the people who know, and as Allah Azza wa Jal said, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ, you should ask the people who know, the people of dhikr. So they will be able to tell you which opinion is stronger than the second opinion. Now you will say that there are many scholars or many people of knowledge, and we are unable to distinguish which one we should ask. Now the answer is simply ask the one you trust that he will guide you to the truth. Again, ask the one that he will guide you to the stronger or to the stronger opinion. You believe that he will guide you to that stronger opinion. So now this is the this is the doubts when you are unable to distinguish which opinion is stronger. Now in many cases you know the ruling, but you are unable to know which practice is the strongest practice, which practice you should follow in this particular situation. And this is different than the first one, and let me give you an example of that. In this example, we all know that eating the meat of the people of the book is allowed, and we all agree on that because it was mentioned in the Quran. And we all know that eating the dead animal is not allowed totally, okay, by consensus, no disagreement about that. Now when somebody asks about the meat in the market, whether it is allowed to eat that meat or not, somebody might tell you that this is the meat of the people of the book. Some other people might tell you that no, this meat was not slaughtered, so it is considered to be a dead animal, so it is not allowed to eat it. Now for you this is a doubt, not because the original mas'ala you are unable to distinguish which is the Sharia ruling regarding the meat in general. That particular point is clear, but you are unable to distinguish which practice, I mean whether that meat belongs to this mas'ala or to that mas'ala. Now in the situation, in our situation, this crisis, the Iraqi crisis, we all know, for example, that or let me give you an example before that. Another example is that many people are asking about the rulers. We all know that the ruler who does not rule by the Sharia is kafir, because Allah Azza wa Jal said that in the Quran, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِغَيْرِ مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ الْكَافِرُونَ. Those who rule, okay, with something that was not revealed by Allah Azza wa Jal, they are the disbelievers. Now this mas'ala is clear. Now whether this ruler, so and so ruler himself, he is not ruling by the Sharia, now you need to investigate and implement. Now maybe you have doubt about certain ruler, whether he rules about Sharia or he does not rule about the Sharia. That doubt, what is the source of that doubt? The source of that doubt is not because you have doubt about the mas'ala itself, but because of what? The implementation of the mas'ala in the current situation. So that might put you in a doubt. Another example, like now, we all know that the Muslim who aid the kuffars against the Muslims are kafir, okay? Now this situation, when we say this situation, can we apply this situation to the Kuwaiti government, for example, because they are aiding the US troops against the Iraqis? Now we have to be careful, because there is here, we need to investigate more and more. We need to go deep more and more before we can judge. It is not an easy thing to judge. This, you need to know the situation itself, some other circumstances within that situation, and so on and so forth. So let us be careful. If somebody tells you that, oh, the one who aid the kuffar against the Muslims, he is kafir, this is a clear cut. Yes, it's clear cut. So the Kuwaiti government, they aid the kuffar against the Muslims, so they are kafir. No, it is not like this. Now we say the one who prostrate for the idol or for any other than Allah Azza wa Jal, he is kafir. Okay? Now if we saw somebody prostrating for somebody else other than Allah Azza wa Jal, we cannot say immediately that he is kafir, because we need to investigate whether he is, maybe at that particular time he is mad. Okay, so he does not have his mind, so he is not mukallaf. We cannot apply all rulings for him, because he was under pressure. So we don't know. Somebody might say, why? Mu'adh, okay, came to the Prophet ﷺ and he prostrated before the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ asked him, what is this? The Prophet ﷺ, he didn't tell him directly, you are kafir because you are prostrating. And he was what? Companion of the Prophet ﷺ. He told him what? He said, no, I saw the people of the Roman people, they are doing this for their masters, for their kings. So I'm doing this for you. He said, no, you shouldn't do this, Mu'adh. If I was commanding somebody to do this, I would command the woman to prostrate for her husband. So there are certain rules has to be applied before you come to the conclusion. So we have to be aware. Why I took so long time in that particular situation? Because that is the main source, or one of the main sources of fitna these days. Okay, so if we understand the situation, that might help us, or that will definitely will help us in order to be aware of that fitna. Now we spoke about the main points or main sources of fitna, and we said that either be desires or either be doubts, and we spoke about desires, and then we spoke about doubts, and we say that doubts are of two types, and we have spoken about these two types. Now we have completed that particular point. Now let us move to another point. If somebody asks why Allah Azza wa Jalla is creating the fitna, the fitna might take the Muslim away from his deen, and he might return away. He might turn away from the deen completely. As somebody told me the other day, that he wrote that two Muslim German, okay, wife and husband. The wife told her husband that look what Allah Azza wa Jal is doing for the Muslims in Iraq. If Allah Azza wa Jal likes those people, Allah Azza wa Jal will not let them to be defeated that easily, and will not make the Americans kill them, and all these trials and tribulations and calamities occur to them. Okay, so she told him, let us just, it maybe means that the Christianity is the right religion, and the God for Christianity is the right God, not the God of the Muslims. So that kind of tribulation that happen, it might pull such people away completely. They might become kuffar, okay, because of their religion, and because of that. And there are many stories, even in the past, even in the period of rightly guided Khalifa, there were cases when where some people turn away completely of their deen. And we know an example, a very big incident where many Muslims turn away completely out from their deen, and they became completely kuffar, which is when? Huh? No. When? Yes, when the Prophet ﷺ died, when he went away, and then you know that many people became kuffar, turned away, al-murtaddin, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu fought them. Okay? So somebody might ask, why Allah Azza wa Jal putting this fitna? Why Allah Azza wa Jal is creating this fitna? Why Allah Azza wa Jal make those poor people facing these trials and tribulations? Yeah, there are many benefits. There is one ayah, Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned that ayah, revealed that ayah after the battle of Uhud. The battle of Uhud, when the Muslims were defeated. Allah Azza wa Jal said, إِن يَمْسَسْكُمْ قَرْحٌ فَقَدْ مَسَّ الْقَوْمَ قَرْحٌ مِثْلُهُ وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ وليعلم الله الذين آمنوا ويتخذ منكم شهداء والله لا يحب الظالمين وليمحص الله الذين آمنوا ويمحق الكافرين أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يعلم الله الذين آمنوا منكم ولما يعلم الله الذين جاهدوا منكم ويعلم الصابرين. إن يمسسكم قرح, if killing or wound touches you, make sure that it touches the people before you, other nations before you. And these are the days we turn the days between the people away. One day for you and one day against you, and this is the nature of this life. But why Allah Azza wa Jal is doing this? Because Allah Azza wa Jal Allah Azza wa Jal wants to make from you martyrs. وَلِيَتَّخِذَ مِنْكُمْ شُهَدَاء. Okay? First of all, before that, he said, وَلِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. For Allah Azza wa Jal to know who are truly believing in Him. For Allah Azza wa Jal to know who are the true believers. But Allah Azza wa Jal know who are the true believers. No, this is just to show you who are the believers or who are not real believers. Okay? This is one thing. And the other thing, so Allah Azza wa Jal makes from you martyrs. وَلِيَتَّخِذَ مِنْكُمْ شُهَدَاء. And Allah Azza wa Jal does not like the ظالمين. وَلِيُمَحِّصَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. For Allah Azza wa Jal to test to test the believers. وَيَمْحَقَ الْكَافِرِينَ, and destroy the non-believers. Okay, from that we can extract some benefits as an answer why Allah Azza wa Jal is creating this fitna. The first benefit is for the Muslims to know who are the believers and who are the true believers and who are not the true believers. And this thing, brothers and sisters, is very important because of many reasons. We as Muslims, we should be aware, and we don't want hypocrites to be within us, within our community, and we don't know that they are there. Okay? And because those hypocrites are much more dangerous than the outer enemies. And for example, you know what happened in Iraq, and they said why Baghdad was captured in a very short period of time, and they said because there were some people who are in allegiance to the United States troops, and they cheated or tricked the Iraqi government or the Iraqi leaders. If that is the true, and we have many stories, okay, of that those people are much more dangerous than the true clear enemies. Those calamities or those trials that occur in this life will enable us, the Muslim community, to distinguish who is a true believer and who is not. The one who turn away when he faces any calamity, then that he might be not a true believer, then we should be aware from him, or we should take care when we deal with him. So this is a very important issue. Another thing is Allah Azza wa Jal said in that ayah, وَلِيُمَحِّصَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. وَلِيُمَحِّصَ اللَّهُ. لِيُمَحِّصَ اللَّهُ, Allah Azza wa Jal, by the calamity, purifies the iman, or the mu'mineen, the believers, purifies them from any doubts, and purifies them from any internal desires that they themselves are not aware of. And you know, brothers and sisters, if somebody faces any hardship or any calamity, he will discover from himself that he was not so strong believer, because at the time of the calamity he was shaking, he was not confident enough, he was not worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal as it should be, and so on. It means that he is now discovering himself what is the level of his iman. So it is benefiting him, the hardship that is going through him, it is benefiting him to start with. So imagine, it is benefiting the individuals, and it will benefit the society. We will know at the time of crisis, we will know what weak points are in our societies. So we should work hard in order to rectify and cure these problems. Without these calamities, everybody might look as a good brother, as a strong believer, and he might have the beard, etc., etc. And for example, since we have sisters, let us just give examples that suitable for the sisters. You know, for example, after the September 11th, because of what was going on, and they said that the Muslims are targeted from racial people or from other people. From some sisters here, okay, they said, they were calling, shall we leave our hijab because we don't want the people to distinguish that we are Muslims, then they might cause some problems for us. So now we know that this community, when we see sisters, mashallah, they are practicing and they are wearing hijab, it doesn't mean that all those who are wearing hijab, they are true believers and they will uphold or hold fast their religion at the time of crisis and tribulations. So now we as a community should treat these problems. Another point behind the creation of calamity or trials, that we as Muslims, as a Muslim community, we need to know who are our leaders, and we will not be able to test the leaders, or test the people who can lead, or test the people who we should put our trust in as leaders. But at the time of crisis and tribulations, we will be able to distinguish. Like for example, at the time of the Iraqi crisis these days, we know, for example, that the Iraqi leaders, many of them are hypocrites or are not really true believers, and this was exposed for the people more than before. Before, even the people, they know Saddam Hussein that he was not a true believer, but after he stand against America, so many people, they said no, he is a true believer, etc., etc., etc. How we will distinguish whether that is correct or not at the time of crisis? Now among our community, among our society. Here, for example, in England, during the time of crisis, of a time of trials, we know, for example, that this person, he is a leader in this community, but we saw him at the time of crisis, he is leaning towards the non-Muslims, for example, against the Muslims, and we will see that he is starting, his iman start to be weak, and we saw that he is the leader, he is not upholding the different rituals of his iman. Then we should evaluate that whether we should follow that leader or not. We should consider him as a leader. We should take him, whether we should take him a leader anymore or not. So this is one of the main important benefits behind the crisis or the calamities that Allah Azza wa Jal create. And this is the answer for what? For if somebody asks why Allah Azza wa Jal created such calamities and such trials or tribulations. Now, let us move to the to speak about some guidelines for dealing with the calamities or with the trials or with tribulations. We need some guideline. Now, before I get into these guidelines, I just want to emphasize a very important point, that even when I was trying to prepare this topic, I was not I didn't see many many people or many people of knowledge spoke about that point. They always concentrate on the guidelines that should be followed at the time of crisis. But we as Muslims, clever Muslims, and we supposed to be clever Muslims, we should try to prevent any trial before it occurs. And we should, somebody might say that this is not in our hand, then we should prepare ourselves for the time of tribulations. Not to wait until the crisis takes place, or the crisis takes place, then we search how to deal with it. No, this is wrong. We should be what? Proactive. And this, the Muslim community, the Muslims leaders, they have responsibilities, heavy responsibilities on their shoulders to make the people aware how to deal with such crisis before such crisis happen. And unfortunately, Muslims these days are not proactive. Once the problem happens, then they deal with it. And once they deal with it, they are what? They are doing, as what they say, firefighting. But they did not prevent the fire, okay, to start with, or they didn't know, or they didn't prepare themselves how to deal with the fire if it occurs. And that's why if we have this during the crisis or during the fitna time, we will not panic. We will not be panicking, and we will be in a situation that we are not able to know which way we should go. Okay, so let us just speak about certain precautions for the time of the fitna. These precautions, we should prepare ourselves, we should learn them, we should implement them if they are implementable, and we should study them carefully as a preparation. And for sure, the Muslim Ummah these days are facing many fitna, many trials, many calamities, many tribulations, and so on and so forth, for sure. And if a crisis is over, then just a month or 2 months we will face another crisis. We know what happened in the past in Afghanistan, and the Russia attacked the Afghani people. And after that, okay, we had the Iraqi war. And after that, we have the Palestinian Intifada. And after that, it calmed down, and then the Intifada again occurs. And Sharon then took the power, and he tried to demolish the Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, and so on and so forth. And then the September 11th. Then after that, we had the bombardment on Afghanistan. And then after that, we have the Iraqi. And we don't know. طيب. And what we know now is we are living in the heart of the big conflict between civilizations. So we should be ready. How can we be ready, okay, for the fitna? First of all, the Prophet ﷺ taught us that to take some precautions before the fitna. And you know, in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ said, بادروا بالأعمال فتنا كقطع الليل المظلم يمسي الرجل مؤمنا ويصبح كافرا ويصبح كافرا ويمسي مؤمنا يبيع دينه بعرض من الدنيا قليل. بادروا بالأعمال فتنا, you should speed up in doing good deeds, just for these good deeds to keep you away from the fitan, or because at the time of the fitna you will not have time to do good deeds. So you should start with the good deeds. Before, you should not wait until the time of the fitna. And this is clear. At the time of the fitna, many people will not be able to do their good deeds as they used to do before. Their minds, they are busy-minded, and they are, because of many reasons. So the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us to do this. Now, what are the precautions? Quickly, the first important precaution is, as Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold fast the rope of Allah Azza wa Jal, and do not dispute, do not scatter, do not divide. Now here there are two things. First of all, وَاعْتَصِمُوا, hold fast the rope of Allah Azza wa Jal. And what is the rope of Allah Azza wa Jal? It is the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. And we should hold fast that deen very firmly, not just because to prepare ourselves for the fitna, but because Allah Azza wa Jal commanded us to do this, and this is the only way to get into the paradise. Another thing is, for the Muslim who is afraid from the hellfire, and he knows that he might face any calamity, and he knows that no one will hold fast his deen at the time of the calamity, unless those who are strong in their iman, in their deen, then he will be so keen to implement, to practice his deen so firmly, so when the time of crisis he will be able also to practice his deen. So this is as a precaution for himself, as a preparation for himself. Like, for example, your son, if he is weak, in terms of health, and he is not, you are not feeding him well, etc., etc., when there is kind of diseases, he will fall into these diseases easily, because he is not so strong. Same thing for our deen. Now, for the Muslim community is the same thing. We should strengthen the iman of the Muslim community, because when the crisis comes, then the Muslim community will be able to face that crisis. When we ask the people to do jihad, now we see thousands or millions of Muslims, but when we ask them to go for jihad, now all of them, they claim that they want to go to jihad, but when the time for jihad or the time of jihad comes, you will see those millions and millions and millions shrink maybe to thousands. Okay, so because what? Because it is just easy to talk, but it is very difficult to implement, to practice what you were talking about. And this, for us, for the dua, for the Muslim community, for everybody to be aware of, to prepare themselves for harder times. So this is one thing. And by the way, that's why when the Sharia revealed in the beginning, in the beginning of the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ did not command or even did not ask his people to go for jihad. He want to strengthen their iman first, and he want to enlarge the number of mu'mineen, so in the time of the jihad we will have enough number of true believers, then they can commit the jihad. Same thing we should implement. We should really work hard, strive to strengthen the iman of the Muslim community, either here or anywhere else. So this is the first guideline, is to hold fast the rope of Allah Azza wa Jal. Within that guideline, we mentioned two things: holding fast the rope of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the second thing is what? Do not split. Okay? Do not be divided. Do not divide. This is another important issue. Just to prepare ourselves for the calamities that we are sure that we will face, we need to be one Muslim ummah, a united nation. Because we know that if we are scattered, if we are divided, then we will be weak. And this is, we should not take time in order to explain that point. And we all know that the policy of the Muslim enemies is what? The Muslims' enemies is what? Divide and rule, or divide and conquer. Because they know that if these people are divided, they will be so weak, we can rule them, we can conquer them very easy. Now, shall we wait until the tribulation comes, until the fitna comes, and then we try to be united? No, this is a very big mistake. No, we should work hard to be united before the time of the crisis. So this is what this, as we said, the first guideline for the to prepare for the fitna. And we are talking about the guidelines that we should follow before the time of the fitna. Another important issue, or another important guideline, we should, brothers and sisters, strive, work hard to strengthen our iman, to increase our iman in qada wa qadar, in divine will of Allah Azza wa Jal and decree. Because at the time of the fitna, as we see, many people, they start asking, if Islam is the right religion, why Muslims why are Muslims, or why Muslims are facing these calamities continuously. They are coming out from a problem and they are falling into a bigger problem. Why Allah Azza wa Jal is not helping them? Why this is happening? Why, for example, United States defeated the Muslims easily here and there? And we don't have this iman. We don't have a strong iman in the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, in the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal, in the divine decree of Allah Azza wa Jal. And this, don't think, brothers and sisters, that this is just a matter, an impractical issue, or just a hypothetical point. No. Maybe you have seen, or among yourselves, or within many Muslims, that they are facing this question either from themselves or from other people. They are putting this question forward. Now, why we said that this is a precaution to strengthen your iman in general cannot happen between a day and a night. No, it has to be built in a continuous process that takes years and years and years. So, at the time of the fitna, you will not be able to strengthen your iman quickly within a day, and then you will be able to face the fitna. If you don't have a strong iman in qada wa qadar that was built throughout the previous years, you will not be able to hold fast your iman at that time. One of the precautions also, or one of the guidelines for dealing with the fitna, is to strengthen the iman, or strengthen the heart actions. This particular point belongs to the previous point, but I just want to re-emphasize that some of the heart actions, brothers and sisters, or many of them, we are not aware of, and we are not taking care of our hearts. It is true that we are taking care of our appearance, our outers, but we are not taking so much care, or much care, about our hearts and about our internals. And that's why we are weak in our imans. That's why we fall quickly. One of the important heart actions is tawakkul, to depend on Allah Azza wa Jal. Have a strong tawakkul. Okay? And that is very difficult, because you need to, for example, rizq or wealth. You don't have a job. What you will do tomorrow? You need to have a tawakkul, strong tawakkul. We Muslims are so weak. How we will defeat the superpower? We don't have nuclear weapons. We don't have mass destruction weapons. We don't have tornadoes. We don't have B-52. We don't have. Okay? If we continue in this dilemma, we will not be able to achieve anything. And that's why we need to have tawakkul, to depend on Allah Azza wa Jal, and to know if we have a true tawakkul, Allah Azza wa Jal will make us victorious even if we are weak. One of the heart actions is, which needed at the time of the fitna, or the time of the crisis, is having trust in Allah Azza wa Jal and trust in His religion. Now, at the time of this Iraqi crisis, many people say, oh, khalas, Muslims are done, no hope, and they lose they lost the hope and they despaired, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and they said, no way that we can win any war in the future. Now, where is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that prove that the future belongs to Islam? The future is for Islam. Where is the trust? Where is the trust in Allah Azza wa Jal, that Allah Azza wa Jal create some calamities for the Muslims, make the Muslims face some trials and tribulations? Where is all of that? Where is it? Where is our Iman? Even where is the trust in Allah Azza wa Jal, while we see the history of the Muslims and the situation that the Muslims are facing today is just one spot in the long history. And in the past, for that past history, Muslims were victorious most of the times, isn't it? After the time of the Prophet ﷺ, we have the rightly guided Khalifa. Then after that we have the Khilafah of Bani Umayyah. Then Bani al-Abbas. Then the Muslims were defeated. Okay, then the Tatars, okay, came and invaded the Muslims' land, and they also conquered Baghdad, as it is happening now. And then just maybe 100 years or so, we have the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottoman Empire continues for how long? For how long?
Up to the century.
For how long? Ottoman Empire. 100 years?
500.
200, 300, 400, up to 500, almost 600 years. Maybe in the last years of its time it was not so good, not so strong, okay, but still most of the countries and the states at that time, they were afraid of the Ottoman Empire. They were afraid of us. And when was the Ottoman Empire, when the Ottoman Empire ended? When? 19? No, 1917. Okay, when they demolished the Khilafah. طيب. So 1917 is just 100 years ago, or less than 100 years ago. Okay, which is not so long. So let us not just look at that, at what is going on, and we lose the hope. So we need to build the confidence. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, if you read his seerah, if you read his biography, was trying to build that confidence in his companions. And you know the famous story when the Khabbab ibn al-Arat, one of the companions, came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ was sitting behind the Kaaba. And Khabbab ibn al-Arat, he was tortured by the kuffar of the Mecca. And he said to the Prophet ﷺ, why you don't supplicate for us? Why you don't ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give us victorious? Then the Prophet ﷺ sat down and he told them the story of the people, the previous people, and how they were tortured. And then he told him, the Prophet ﷺ, إِنَّكُمْ قَوْمٌ تَسْتَعْجِلُونَ, you want things to happen quickly. You want to rush. Okay? And then the Prophet ﷺ told him, وَلَيُتِمَّنَّ اللَّهُ هَذَا الْأَمْرِ, يعني Allah Azza wa Jal will give victorious to this matter, to this religion, until the traveler travel from Sana'a in Yemen until Sham in the north, okay, alone, and he does not scared of anything, or he does not afraid of anything except Allah Azza wa Jal and the wolf for his sheep. Okay, but you just want things to happen quickly. Okay, so this, we as a Muslim community, we have to build in our people. Now, we also, as a precaution, as an important guideline, we need to arm ourselves with sound knowledge, with a strong knowledge. You remember when we said that the trials or tribulations might result out of doubts, and doubts are something relevant. So maybe you have a doubt, I don't have it. Maybe I have a doubt, you don't have it. Maybe we all have certain doubts about certain issues, but the people who know, the people of knowledge, they will not have these doubts. So when we increase our knowledge, we will decrease the doubts that face us. Okay? So that's why we need to arm ourselves with knowledge. Now, at the time of fitna, the time itself, not before the fitna, the time of the fitna, what we need to do. There are many guidelines also. One of these guidelines is to what we call al-hilm wal-ana, to wait and not to hurry up in taking decisions, not to take decisions so quickly. Okay, to be wise enough to think twice before you take any decision. Okay, to implement this hilm and ana, wait. Okay, not to rush in decisions. And you know that one of the companions came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ praised him, and he told him that Allah Azza wa Jal, you have two characters, and Allah Azza wa Jal like those two characters. This is, brother, very important at the time of the fitna. Unfortunately, we see Muslims at the time of the fitna, immediately they take decisions about certain instance. For example, at the time of the Iraqi crisis, many people, they said, no, Kuwaitis, and I have heard that Kuwaitis are kuffar because of this and that. Or many people, they said, no, we must now go to Iraq to fight against those who are attacking the Muslims. We must now all. And because of these many opinions, the fitna becomes more and more and more. No, we should be wise, we should be calm, we should not rush to take certain opinions. This is a very important issue. Another important issue, we should avoid as much as we can in what we can say in individualism, to be alone. No, try to be with the Muslim community. Now, when we say individualism, either individualism in opinion, you saw an opinion, you analyzed the situation, and then you came up with an opinion, and you start expose this opinion, or you start speak about this opinion, and this is your individual opinion. We should be aware of that. Also, in terms of decisions, like for example, somebody said, no, we have these are attacking Muslims, we should do something against them. If we can steal them, if we can bomb them, if we can do this and that. This is individual opinions, and such individual opinions are very dangerous. And another important guideline is to gather ourselves around the people who know. Now, in so many instances, people say that we don't have scholars. We might have not scholars, but we might have people who have more knowledge than us. And if these people are trustworthy, then we should gather ourselves around them. And if at least we should consult them before we take individual opinions. Okay? and we should not start taking certain actions before consulting them. Now, in many cases, many people say, but the people who know, or the people of knowledge, they are not, these days unfortunately, they are not trustworthy. It is, first of all, this might be true to certain extent, okay? But this is not fully true. Still, we will have people of knowledge that we trust. Sometimes we might have people of knowledge, but those people, they don't have experience in that situation. Okay? So we should not ask them about their opinions about that situation while we know that they don't know that situation 100%. And once they come out with wrong decisions, then we start criticizing them, or we start accusing them, or they are not trustworthy, and so on and so forth. No, we should ask the people who have knowledge and who have taqwa, fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the most important thing, those people who have knowledge about the calamity or the trial that we are going through. Okay, and as I understood that we have 5 minutes more. 4? 3-4 minutes. One of the guidelines also is to keep low profile. What does that mean? Some people at the time of the fitna, they start to be active. They talk much, they move around here and there, and they give ideas, and so on and so forth. If you don't have the proper knowledge, keep low profile. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ commanded people at the time of the fitna to stick at their homes. Because if everybody start talking, those who know and those who do not know, then we will end up in a mess. So keep low profile. Another guideline is sometimes we might reach to certain conclusions, and that conclusions might be right, absolutely right conclusions. But if we start expose these conclusions, if we start talk about these conclusions in the public, start talking about these opinions in the public, that will create more fitna, because the people are not aware of the basis of these opinions or the certain background of that opinion. If certain opinion will create a fitna, keep it for yourself. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he did not demolish the Kaaba, okay, because he wanted to demolish the Kaaba to rebuild it according to what Ibrahim, according to the foundation of Ibrahim alayhi salam. But he didn't do this because, and he told Aisha, as in Sahih al-Bukhari, because he doesn't want to create fitna for the people at that time. So if the time of the fitna, keep low profile, and do not speak about anything you know. And then we need to deal with everybody with justice. وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَانُ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا. If you hate some people, do not deal with them with injustice. Deal with them with justice. For example, at the time of this fitna, because of what happened from the Kuwaiti government, so many people said, oh, all Kuwaitis are like this. And some people, they saw that the Kurdish people are supporting the United troops. They said, oh, all Kurd people or Kurdish people are like this, and so on. No. This is very big mistake, and it will create much more fitna. I think time is out. Okay. And as I said, or maybe I haven't mentioned this, this certain topic is very sensitive, especially these days, and it is a very long, wide topic. And I think with these guidelines, maybe we will be able at least to know what is the right path that we should follow in the time of the fitna. May Allah Azza wa Jalla accept this from me and from all the audience. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين.
Is the camera working? Camera working, yeah? This is okay, inshallah. You want to deal with that first question?
طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. ربنا علمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك ولا نعبد إلا إياك مخلصين لك. There is a famous question that many people ask this particular time, which is who is better, Bush or Saddam? And this so many people is asking this question. So many people are asking this question. Anyway, Saddam khalas gone, and we don't know what happened. طيب. We don't know what happened. But before that, we really need to know the situation, because so many people, they said why we should supplicate for Iraq, why we should make dua for Iraq, because يعني Iraq was governed by Saddam, who is يعني kafir, they said, and the Americans are attacking them, and the Americans are kuffar and kuffar. So no, this is this situation, we have to deal with it very carefully, very carefully. One of the points that we need in order to be away from fitna is to seek knowledge. And one of the types of the knowledge that we need to seek is for the Muslims not to be tricked or cheated by their enemies easily. And for Muslims, we need to really to see some Muslims with good experience, good political experience, and Muslims who study well what's going on. And now if we investigate this situation, and we study this situation to know what's going on, we will know that America is not just going for to remove Saddam from power because she is worried about Muslims being oppressed by Saddam. Of course, this is not the situation. But America is going there to conquer the Muslim land and to take their petrol. And the main important point is to, as the rightist, the American rightist, the fundamental rightist, they believe with the Jews rightist also, right people, they both believe that in order to establish the big Israel, that should come through demolishing a Babylonian country. So they want to demolish that country, destroy that country, and they think that this is the key to establish the big Israel. Okay? Plus, if they can take some petrol with them, that will be good also. Plus, once they are in the heart of the Muslim Ummah, then they will be able to control other Muslim states, even if they do not directly conquer them conquer them. Okay? So, once we know this, then we know for sure that we should not allow the Americans to conquer any Muslim land. It is not a matter of Saddam Hussein. Saddam will come and go. It is not a matter of his regime. His regime might come and go. But once Americans conquer a certain country, they will never go unless they achieved their goals. So for this mas'ala, it is clear that we should stand for the Iraqis, okay, because they are Muslims, not because there is Saddam Hussein there, and because against them are يعني new barbarians or new Tatar that once they يعني they stay in a country or once they conquer a country they will never go out of it unless they achieve wicked goals. That's why we really يعني supplicate for Iraq and we ask for help for Iraq. Okay. طيب.
This is actually about your topic.
Huh? Question: if it be that to help the kuffar against Muslim makes you kafir, right? And in the case Kuwait is mentioned, then I ask, as much as we may question, surely the end scenario is that they, Kuwaiti, did aid to the kuffar, didn't they? يعني why you like to make the Kuwaitis kuffar? يعني the one who wrote this question, يعني he is so keen to make the Kuwaitis kuffar. We should be keen to take Muslims away from kufr. صح ولا لا? So we should not be so keen in order to judge whether these people are kuffar or not. So why many Muslims are so keen or so worried about that particular point? And we said that to say that there is an action that is kufr, but to implement that action, if somebody did an action which is kufr, to say that the doer of that action is kafir, he has to fulfill certain requirements has to be fulfilled, and certain obstacles has to be removed before you can say that person is an kafir.
Sorry to interrupt, I asked the question, so I just clarified. My intention wasn't to make the Kuwaitis kafir. That was not the intention. My intention was that what some of the countries in that peninsula have done is they have aided the kuffar. That is clear to us sitting here. So I'm not saying that they are kuffar, or that is not my intention for asking them. What I'm saying is clearly they have aided the kuffar.
طيب, so what is the question?
Where does that lead? How can they do this? Is the question. What is the intention behind these countries aiding the kuffar?
خلاص, okay, we will forward this question to the Kuwaiti government.
Well, not just.
Yeah. No, let us ask, brother. Let us. يعني we all angry of what happens. We all angry of these regimes. They are so corrupted regimes, the Kuwaiti and others. Okay, and unfortunately, so many Muslims, because of this situation, they start talking, and they might ask questions that are not relevant to the topic. We all know that this is going on. As somebody might say, why Muslims are weak? Okay, we are weak. We need to rectify this problem. Kuwaiti government aid the US troops against the Iraqi. That is a fact. Okay, why? Of course, it is a big mistake. Why they did this? We need to ask them. طيب. But of course, this is a big mistake, and the action itself is considered to be a kufr. But my point was, it doesn't mean that they committed that action. That, yes, I agree with you. Okay. Next question. Are there really any people of the book existing today? Isn't it dangerous to mention openly it is allowed to eat the meat of the people of the book without a clarification? Okay. طيب, the people of the book, Allah Azza wa Jal said in Surah Al-Bayyinah, what he said? Surah Al-Bayyinah. لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة. طيب, what is the translation of this?
The kafir from the Ahl al-Kitab wa mushrikeen.
The kuffar from the people of the book and the mushrik.
Yeah.
So Allah Azza wa Jal said that the kuffar from the people of the book. So Allah Azza wa Jal considered them kuffar, the people of the book. And Allah Azza wa Jal said in the kuffar, and the people of the book, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ. طيب, those who said that the Messiah is the son of Allah, they became kuffar. So even at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the people of the book was not, or were not, the original people of the book. They were kuffar, and they were believing that they were believing in Trinity. But still the Sharia considered them what? People, considered them people of the book. Okay? Although they are not the original people of the book. So the same rule is applied. Okay? And there is a hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari about Ibn Umar when he was discussing this issue, and he said these people are the people of the book. And this is the opinion of the majority of scholars. So the people around us, once they claim that they are Christians or Jewish, we apply the rules and regulations about people of the book on them. Okay? طيب.
So can we actually go and eat the meat from here, from Tesco's?
طيب, we actually go and eat the meat in Tesco's. طيب, this is a question. What is the answer for this question?
No.
Yes.
Is Ahl al-Kitab.
We don't know, we're not sure.
What is the answer of this question? I gave the answer of this question in the talk.
Has to be checked, verified.
احنا مش مطالبين مش نبحثوا عليهم هم اهل الكتاب. ماذا قال الله رسول الله
طيب.
قال اهل الكتاب هي في الصوره كان ياخذوا النساء لما اغلبيتهم يطرحوا هذا السؤال. طيب. النساء هم كلهم اهل الكتاب. لما يتزوج بالمراه يقول لك معليش.
طيب خلاص. اوكي. طيب. I gave the answer in the lecture. Means most of the brothers were sleeping.
Investigators.
Animals that are slaughtered the ones who are not slaughtered, then this haram.
Yes, this is the answer. Good, excellent. What is the answer? It is not a matter of eating that meat because they are the people of the book, or they are not the people of the book. No, it is not this issue. The issue whether this meat, we said this, is slaughtered or not. If it is slaughtered, then we are allowed to eat the slaughtered meat. Okay, slaughtered by the people of the book. The animals slaughtered by the people of the book. But why we don't eat it, or why those who do not eat it, they don't do it? Because they believe that this is dead, or the meat in the market is dead. It was not slaughtered. It was slaughtered after it died. So it is considered to be dead animal. Okay, brothers? So there is a difference between understanding the ruling, the mas'ala, and implementing the ruling on a particular situation. Big difference. طيب يا شباب? Just put this in mind. Put this in mind. And this is very useful to deal with many situations. I don't know how we should
ask.
Okay, he is before.
There's a question. In the context of Iraq, how does the malhama fit? Because some people believe that the war in Iraq is the beginning of the malhama. Can you explain the concept of malhama?
طيب. Harmageddon. Is it, or?
Wars, battles.
No. It's not. They believe that it is the start of.
Yeah, some people say that this is the beginning
of the big war. Of the malhama, the big war.
Yeah.
That before the day of judgment. Okay? Which the Christians believe that is the Harmageddon. Okay? طيب. The question is the war in Iraq is the start of the malhama, the big malhama, the big battle before the day of the judgment? Actually, we don't know, and there is no definite answer. Because there is no definite dalil whether this is the malhama or not. طيب. and whether this is the start of the malhama or not. And about what's going on before the day of judgment and the battles and all the fitna, trials and tribulations that happen, we should really, brothers and sisters, we should be very careful not to read a hadith and then to say, this is the situation and we are coming through this situation. No, the hadith has to be understood carefully, because now so many people said that no, the malhama started with the war in Iraq. Okay, you know the Tatarian, when they invaded Baghdad. When was that? 800 years ago. And 656 in Hijri, I don't know in Gregorian when, but it was about 800 years ago. Okay, so that was even bigger than this battle, and then the day of judgment did not happen. So we should really be careful. And some people, they said that Iraq, Saddam Hussein is the Sufyani mentioned in one of the hadith. You know this hadith, Sufyani. طيب. All the hadith of Sufyani are weak. There is no authentic hadith about Sufyani, which comes before a man called Sufyani, a Sufyani from certain tribe. Okay, comes before the day of judgment, before the Mahdi alayhi salam, etc. So we should really be careful when we tackle these issues. This brother before, yes.
Going back to the Iraqi crisis, I make a question so I'm not misunderstood. You said about brothers of the Muslim community keeping a low profile, and it's not the time to be irrational and these type of things. Some brothers, and I guess some opinion among the Muslims is that they felt that they should do something, so what they did is they lobbied, local MPs, and they wrote petitions, and what they tried to do, they tried to show these people, the government, from their own international law, what they're doing against Iraq and these type of things is wrong. And they were blamed, or a lot of the time, or you're running to kuffar for help and these type of things. So I guess my question is that how do you feel about this thing when people are going to the government and saying, even by your own kafir or kufr law or whatever, what you're doing is wrong? And they used prominent MPs who themselves are critics of the government, like, I don't know if you had whoever, George Galloway and this old man, Maskeen, Tony Benn, and these things. So they used their own people against their own people. And a lot of Muslims got involved, and as you know, there was a big march and all these kind of things.
So what is the question?
Okay, what is your advice on this type of activity? Do you think it's
which one?
To ask this kuffar.
Let him.
No. This is exactly the question I don't want to ask. Lobbying this government and saying it's wrong, and using their own people to tell them that they are wrong in what they're doing.
So what do I think about this? Lobbying
is it acceptable, this type of action? Because a lot of brothers were asking, and it was difficult to answer.
What?
A lot of brothers were asking this, and it was difficult to answer them. I mean, they were hesitant to join these activities or to say. They said, brother, you're writing to kuffar. This is not allowed. You are begging kuffar to help you.
طيب. First of all, we should know something. Actions, normal actions, are prohibited unless there is dalil that they are allowed, or actions are allowed unless there is dalil that they are prohibited. What is the answer?
Actions are allowed until dalil is prohibited.
Originally, actions are allowed or actions are prohibited?
Allowed.
Until the proof is
allowed.
Yeah, until you prove it.
Unless there is dalil, or unless there is proof that these actions are not allowed. Yeah. Okay, brothers, let us remember this always, because many people, they know this, but they do not remember it always. And once, if they remember it always, they do not implement it. So we should ask the question, this is originally allowed, so we should ask those who said that it is not allowed, why it is not allowed. This is one thing. If they said that we are taking aid from the kuffar, we are taking aid from the kuffar. We are taking aid from the kuffar in so many things. We are going to the kuffar and asking them for planning permission for the masjid. صح? We are going to the kuffar to asking them to financially support religious institutes. صح? We are, and there are thousands of asylum seekers who are going to the kuffar taking that. صح? طيب. And we are going to the kuffar to take help from their technology. صح ولا لا? طيب, so on and so forth. So we are taking help from, we are sinked in a big lake of kuffar. صح? So we, it is a kuffar of the kuffar issue. So let us not just trick the people, oh, you are going to the kuffar taking help from the kuffar. Because the word kuffar makes the people angry, aggressive towards this word. So they, خلاص, kuffar means haram. No, these things are not taken like this. طيب, brothers, so we should be very clever. We should take care of these things. طيب, taking the aid from the kuffar. I will ask you a question. Somebody attacked you in your house, and that person, he looks like a Muslim, and he wants to rape your wife. طيب, does it happen or not? Or there is a possibility for this to happen or not? It might happen in this country. Unfortunately, there are many Muslims by name. They do these things. Are you going to call the police to stop him? So you will let him rape your wife? Nobody will say, I will let him do whatever he likes. So you are asking help from the kuffar against what? Against a Muslim. صح ولا لا? So let us not just take the taking help from the kuffar, it is haram. طيب, we want to help our brothers, and we have nothing to help them. We have donation, we have dua, and even to go there, that is not possible. And there might be kind of help, pressure against the government by lobbying the MPs, writing to the MPs, talking to George Galloway or Tony Benn or whatever, or Robert, what's his name, Koch, okay, etc., etc. So what's wrong with doing that? I think nothing wrong. But even I think we should do it. We should be proactive, okay? And we should take all means that might remove the calamity, okay, from our brothers. All means. And if, yarhamukallah, if there is no clear dalil, no clear proof that says that this particular action is haram, then it is permissible, unless there is a bigger evil might happen or might take place. Yes. Okay. What should someone do when kafir is troubling him? Should he deal with him by fighting or be patient? Where? Troubling him here, in the street, or where? Of course, when the United States troubled Iraq, they should not be patient. Iraqi people, they should not be patient. And they said, no, Allah Azza wa Jal commanded us to have sabr. No. So the situation differs from, this question differs from one situation to another situation. Like, for example, a kafir, and he is ignorant in the street, and he made troubles. but the evil, if you fight him, the evil will be greater, then you should avoid fighting with him. If the evil will be less, then yes, go and fight him, and defend yourself at least. Okay, so it depends from one situation to another situation. Okay, yes.
أشهد أن لا